I should have known this summer would change everything. But how could I? How could I have predicted that spending 3 months at my grandmother's lake house would turn my entire world upside down? My name is Jamie and I'm 19. I'd just finished my freshman year at college where I'd finally started to figure out who I was. Away from my small hometown, away from the expectations and whispers, I'd found the courage to come out. At least to my friends. My family? That was a different story entirely. The plan was simple. Spend the summer helping Grandma Rose fix up her lake house. She was getting older and the place needed work. My parents thought it would be good for me: fresh air, hard work, time away from distractions. They didn't know about the distractions I'd left behind at college. They didn't know about Marcus, my ex-boyfriend, or about the pride parade I'd marched in, or about finally feeling like myself for the first time in my life. What I hadn't counted on was my cousin Tyler. Tyler was everything I wasn't: confident, athletic, effortlessly popular. At 21, he had just graduated college with a business degree and a job offer from a Fortune 500 company. He was also devastatingly handsome, with sun-bleached hair, hazel eyes, and the kind of build that came from years of varsity sports. And he was my cousin. My very straight cousin, who I definitely, absolutely should not have feelings for. But life doesn't care about should. I arrived at Grandma's on a Monday afternoon. The lake house was exactly as I remembered: weathered wood, a wraparound porch, and the most beautiful view of the water you could imagine. Grandma greeted me with her usual warmth, all hugs and cookies and comments about how thin I'd gotten. "Tyler's coming tomorrow," she mentioned as she showed me to my room. "His job doesn't start until September, so he offered to help with the renovations too. Won't that be nice? You boys always got along so well when you were younger." I forced a smile. Tyler and I had been close as kids, but we'd drifted apart in high school. Different schools, different interests, different worlds. I hadn't seen him in almost 2 years. That night, I lay in bed listening to the lake lap against the shore, trying to convince myself that this summer would be fine. I'd work hard, avoid any awkward conversations, and go back to college in the fall without incident. I was so naive. Tyler arrived the next morning in a pickup truck loaded with tools and supplies. I watched from the porch as he climbed out, all easy grace and casual confidence. He was taller than I remembered, broader in the shoulders. His t-shirt clung to his chest in a way that made my mouth go dry. "Get it together," I told myself firmly. "He's your cousin. Your straight cousin. This is not happening." "Jamie." He bounded up the porch steps, that familiar grin splitting his face. "Man, it's been forever. How are you?" He pulled me into a hug before I could respond, and I tried not to notice how good he smelled, or how strong his arms felt. "Or good," I managed when he released me. "I'm good. College is good." "Yeah. What's your major again?" "English. Maybe education." "I'm still figuring it out." "That's cool, man. Follow your passion, right?" He punched my shoulder lightly, that brotherly gesture that shouldn't have made my heart race. "Come help me unload this stuff. Grandma's got a whole list of projects for us." We fell into an easy rhythm over the next few days. Tyler was easy to be around, funny, laid back, never pushing when I got quiet. We worked on the house during the day, replacing boards on the porch, fixing the dock, repainting trim. In the evenings, we'd swim in the lake, or sit on the dock watching the sunset while Grandma made dinner. It was almost perfect. Except for the part where I was falling for him. I tried to hide it. I really did. But it's hard to hide attraction when you're living in close quarters. Working side by side, seeing someone shirtless and sweaty on a daily basis, Tyler seemed oblivious, treating me like the cousin he'd always known. The buddy he could joke around with until the night he walked in on me. It had been a particularly hot day. The kind of sticky summer heat that makes you want to peel your own skin off. Tyler and I had spent hours working on the roof, and by evening, I was exhausted and desperately needed to cool down. Grandma had gone to bed early, and Tyler had said something about taking a shower. I'd gone to my room, closed the door, and done something incredibly stupid. I'd opened my laptop and pulled up my secret folder photos from Pride. From nights out with friends at college, from the life I lived when I wasn't pretending to be someone else. There was a picture of me and Marcus at a party, his arm around my waist, both of us laughing. Another of me in a rainbow tank top at the parade, face paint on my cheeks, pure joy in my eyes. I was so lost in memories, in the fantasy of being openly myself, that I didn't hear the footsteps in the hall, didn't hear my door open. "Hey Jamie, do you have any?" Tyler's voice cut off abruptly. I spun around, slamming my laptop closed, but it was too late. The look on his face told me he'd seen everything. "Tyler, my voice came out strangled. He stood frozen in the doorway. His hair still wet from the shower, wearing just a pair of shorts. His expression was unreadable. "You single quotes, Ree." He started, then stopped. "Those pictures? It's not?" I couldn't even finish the lie. What was I going to say? It's not what it looks like? When it was exactly what it looked like? The silence stretched between us, heavy and suffocating. I wanted to disappear, to sink into the floor, and never come back. "I'm gay," I finally said, the words barely a whisper. "I came out at college, but my parents don't know. Nobody in the family knows. I'm sorry you had to find out like this." More silence. Tyler's face was still blank, giving nothing away. This was it, I thought. This was where everything fell apart. Where he called me disgusting. Where he told my parents. Where I lost not just a cousin, but any chance at being accepted by my family. Then he did something I'd never expected. He stepped into the room and closed the door behind him. "How long have you known?" he asked, his voice quiet. "Really known?" "About a year. Suspected. Probably my whole life." He nodded slowly, processing. "And that guy in the picture?" "Marcus, my ex-boyfriend. We broke up before summer started." "Why?" I blinked, surprised by the question. "Why does it matter?" "I'm just trying to understand," Tyler said, moving closer. He sat on the edge of my bed, and I noticed his hands were shaking slightly. "This is a lot to process, Jamie, but I'm not mad. I'm not disgusted. I'm just surprised, I guess. You're not going to tell anyone?" "What? No." He looked genuinely offended. "Jamie, you're my cousin. I'm not going to out you to the family. That's your choice to make, when and if you're ready." Relief flooded through me so intensely I felt dizzy. "Thank you. Tyler, I thank you." "Don't thank me for basic human decency," he said. I wish you'd felt like you could tell me. We used to tell each other everything. We were kids then. Things are different now. They don't have to be," he said. Then, after a pause, "Can I ask you something?" My heart started pounding again. "Okay, ... double quotes. Are you happy? At college, living as yourself? Are you happy?" The question caught me off guard. "Yeah," I said softly. "Yeah, I am. For the first time in my life, I feel like I can breathe." He nodded, something shifting in his expression. "Good. That's good, Jamie." Everything changed after that night, but not in the way I expected. Tyler didn't treat me differently exactly. He was still the same friendly, easygoing cousin I'd always known. But there was a new awareness between us, a tension that hadn't been there before. He started asking questions. Careful, thoughtful questions about my life at college, about coming out, about what it was like to be gay in a world that wasn't always accepting. And I answered honestly, surprised by his genuine interest, by how safe I felt sharing these parts of myself with him. One night, about a week after he'd walked in on me, we were sitting on the dock after dinner. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange. Tyler had been quiet all evening, which was unusual for him. "Can I tell you something?" he said suddenly. "Sure." He was quiet for a long moment, staring out at the water. "When I was in high school, I dated this girl, Ashley. Everyone thought we were perfect together. But the whole time, I felt like I was playing a role, like I was following a script everyone had written for me. I waited, sensing there was more. We broke up before college, and I told myself it was because we were going to different schools. But really, I think I was just relieved to not have to pretend anymore. He looked at me then, and there was something vulnerable in his eyes. Does that make sense? Yeah, I said softly. It does. I dated other girls in college, he continued. Nothing serious. And people always asked why I never settled down, why I never seemed that into anyone. I told them I was focused on my degree, on my career. But the truth is, he trailed off, and my heart was pounding so hard I thought he must be able to hear it. The truth is, he said, his voice barely above a whisper, I don't think I've ever actually been attracted to any of them. Not really. The implication hung in the air between us. I didn't dare move, didn't dare breathe. Tyler, I said carefully, what are you saying? I don't know, he admitted, running a hand through his hair in frustration. I don't know what I'm saying. All I know is that seeing those pictures of you, seeing you so happy and free and just ... yourself, it made me realize I've never felt that way. I've never felt free to be myself because I don't even know who TH. You think you might be gay? I asked gently. I think. He took a shaky breath. I think I might not be as straight as everyone believes. As I believed, and I don't know what to do with that. We didn't talk about it for the next few days. Tyler seemed to be processing, working through something internal, and I gave him space. But the awareness between us grew stronger, more electric. Every accidental touch felt charged. Every shared glance lasted a beat too long. I knew I should shut this down. Even if Tyler was questioning his sexuality, even if he was interested in guys, he was still my cousin. This was wrong on multiple levels, but my heart didn't care about logic. One evening, Grandma announced she was going to visit her sister for the weekend, leaving Friday morning and coming back Sunday night. Tyler and I would have the house to ourselves. You boys will be okay on your own? She asked, already packing her bag. We'll be fine, Grandma, Tyler assured her. We're not children anymore. No, I thought. We definitely weren't children. And that was the problem. Friday came, and Grandma left early. Tyler and I worked on the house all day, mostly in silence, the tension between us almost unbearable. By evening, we were both exhausted and covered in paint from working on the living room. I need a shower, Tyler announced, and maybe several beers. Same, I agreed. He showered first while I cleaned up the paint supplies. When I came back inside, he was in the kitchen, 2 beers already open on the counter. He'd changed into shorts and a t-shirt, his hair still damp. Thought you might need this, he said, handing me a beer. Thanks. After my shower, I found him on the porch. Sitting on the swing and staring out at the lake, the sun was setting and the light caught in his hair, turning it gold. Mind if I join you? I asked. Please, he said, patting the space beside him. We sat in silence, drinking our beers, the swing creaking gently beneath us. I was hyper-aware of how close we were, how his bare leg was inches from mine. Jamie, he said finally, I need to tell you something. My heart started racing. Okay, ... I've been thinking a lot these past few days, about what I told you, about questioning things. And I realized something. What? He turned to look at me, and the intensity in his eyes took my breath away. I think the reason I've never been attracted to anyone else is because I've been attracted to you. For years, Jamie, maybe my whole life, I just didn't know what to call it. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Tyler, we can't, I know, he said quickly. I know all the reasons this is wrong. We're cousins. My parents would disown me. Your parents would never speak to you again. The whole family would, exactly, I said, my voice shaking. All of that is true. So why are you telling me this? Because I can't keep pretending, he said. I can't keep lying to myself, and I needed you to know. Even if nothing can happen, even if this goes nowhere, I needed you to know that you're not alone. That I see you, Jamie. I see you. And He stopped, but the unfinished sentence hung between us like smoke. I love you. That's what he'd been about to say. I knew it as surely as I knew my own name. Tyler, I whispered. This is insane, I know. We're cousins. I know. If anyone found out, I know, Jamie. I know all of it. But I also know that when I'm with you, I feel more myself than I ever have before. And I can't ignore that anymore. I should have walked away. Should have told him we needed to forget this conversation. Maintain boundaries, stay cousins, and nothing more. Instead, I kissed him. It was soft at first, tentative, both of us terrified and exhilarated in equal measure. But when he kissed me back, his hand coming up to cup my face, soft became desperate. Became 3 years of denied attraction pouring out all at once. We pulled apart, both breathing hard, and stared at each other in shock. We shouldn't have done that, I said. But I didn't move away. Probably not, Tyler agreed. His hand was still on my face, thumb brushing across my cheekbone. Do you want me to stop? I should have said yes. Should have been the responsible one, the one who remembered all the reasons this was impossible. No, I whispered instead. I don't want you to stop. He kissed me again, and this time there was no hesitation. We stumbled inside, barely making it to the couch before we were tangled together, hands exploring, mouths desperate. It felt like coming home and jumping off a cliff at the same time. Are you sure? Tyler asked, pulling back to look at me. Jamie, if we do this, everything changes. We can never go back. I'm sure, I said, and I was. Despite everything, the complications, the risks, the impossibility of it all, was sure. Are you? More sure than I've ever been about anything, he said, and kissed me again that night. We crossed every line we'd drawn, broke every rule we should have followed, and it was perfect and terrifying and absolutely, completely right. Afterwards, we lay tangled together on his bed, the moonlight streaming through the window. Tyler's head was on my chest, my fingers running through his hair. What do we do now? He asked quietly. I don't know, I admitted. I don't know how we make this work. We could tell everyone we're not actually blood-related, Tyler joked weakly, that I was secretly adopted or something. I laughed despite myself. Pretty sure that's not how it works. Yeah. He was quiet for a moment. Jamie, I meant what I said earlier. About seeing you, about loving you? My heart clenched. I love you too. I think I have for a long time. I just didn't let myself acknowledge it. So we're really doing this? Despite everything? I don't see how we can not do this, I said. Now that we've crossed that line. I can't go back to pretending you're just my cousin. Can you? No, he said firmly. But we have to be careful. We can't let anyone find out. Not yet. Maybe not ever. So we hide, I said, the reality of it settling over me like a weight. We hide and we lie, and we hope nobody figures it out. Do you think we can do that? Tyler asked, tilting his head up to look at me. I don't know, I admitted, but I want to try. You're worth trying for. Kissed me again. Soft and sweet this time. You're worth it too. The rest of that summer became the most beautiful and complicated time of my life. During the day, Tyler and I were cousins helping Grandma with her house. At night, when she was asleep, we were something else entirely. We learned each other's bodies, each other's hearts. Tyler was tentative at first. Everything was new to him, from kissing a guy to the physical intimacy that came with it, but he was eager to learn, to explore. And watching him discover this part of himself was one of the most beautiful things I'd ever witnessed. I can't believe I wasted so much time, he said one night as we lay in his bed, our legs tangled together, pretending to be someone I'm not. You weren't ready before, I said, tracing patterns on his chest. There's no shame in taking time to figure yourself out. Did you always know? He asked that you were gay. I suspected for a long time, I admitted. But I didn't really accept it until college. It's easier to be yourself when you're away from everyone's expectations. I don't want to go back, Tyler said suddenly. To pretending. To lying about who I am. But you'll have to, I said gently. At least for now. When you start your new job, when you see your parents, we both will. I hate that, he said fiercely. I hate that we have to hide this. Hide us. Me too. But we don't have a choice. Not if we want to stay in each other's lives. He pulled me closer. I'll always want that. No matter what happens, Jamie, promise me we'll figure this out. I promise, I said, hoping it was a promise I could keep, But as the summer wore on and August approached, reality started to creep in. Tyler's job would start in September in a city 3 hours away. I'd be going back to college in a different direction. The logistics of maintaining a secret relationship across distance seemed impossible. We didn't talk about it. Both of us pretended that summer could last forever, but we didn't have to face the real world eventually. Then Grandma got sick. It started with a cough. Grandma Rose insisted it was nothing, just a summer cold. But within days she was running a fever and could barely get out of bed. Tyler drove her to the hospital while I stayed behind, pacing the house and trying not to panic. "Pneumonia," Tyler said when he called from the hospital. "They're keeping her overnight, maybe longer. Her immune system isn't what it used to be." The whole family descended within 24 hours. My parents, Tyler's parents, aunts, uncles, cousins. The lake house was suddenly full of people, all worried about Grandma. All staying in shifts at the hospital, and Tyler and I had to pretend we were just cousins. Nothing more. It was torture. I wanted to hold his hand, to comfort him when he was scared, to be his partner through this crisis. Instead, I had to keep my distance, maintain the facade, act like seeing him stressed and exhausted didn't break my heart. "How are you holding up?" I managed to ask him one evening when we had a rare moment alone in the kitchen. "I'm okay," he said, but the circles under his eyes told a different story. "She's getting better. Doctors say she'll be fine. That's good." We stood there in awkward silence, so much between us that we couldn't say. Tyler looked like he wanted to reach for me, to close the distance. But my uncle's voice called from the living room and the moment passed. That night, I lay in bed listening to the house full of relatives, feeling more alone than I had all summer. My phone buzzed. "Tyler, can't sleep, you?" "Me, no, this sucks." "Tyler, I miss you." "You're 20 feet away, and I miss you." "Me, I know. I miss you too." "Tyler, we in." Need to talk about what happens after summer. "Me, I know." But we didn't get the chance. The next few days were a blur of hospital visits, family meals, and carefully maintained distance. By the time Grandma was released healthy, but tired, it was late August. My parents were already talking about helping me pack for school. Tyler's start date was 2 weeks away. Our summer was ending. We hadn't figured anything out. The night before I left for school, I couldn't sleep. I slipped out of the house around midnight, walking down to the dock where Tyler and I had spent so many evenings. I wasn't surprised to find him already there. Couldn't sleep either. He asked as I sat beside him. Too much on my mind. We sat in silence, our shoulders touching, both of us staring out at the dark water. After all the time we'd spent carefully not touching in front of family, even this small contact felt electric. "I've been thinking," Tyler said finally, "about us, about the future." My heart sank. Here it was, the inevitable end. The practical recognition that this couldn't work. "I'm moving to Chicago," he continued. "You're going back to school for hours in the other direction. Long distance is hard enough without having to keep the whole relationship secret from everyone we know." "I know," I said quietly. "But Jamie, I don't want to give up on us. I can't." I turned to look at him, surprised. "You can't." "This summer. It's been the best summer of my life. Not just because of the physical stuff, but because of you. Because for the first time, I got to be completely myself with someone. Because I fell in love, real love, and it was everything I never knew I was missing." Tyler, ... "Let me finish," he said. "I know it won't be easy. I know we'll have to hide to be careful. I know there will be times when it feels impossible, but I think you're worth it. I think we're worth fighting for." "You really mean that?" "I really mean that. I love you, Jamie. And I want to figure out how to make this work, no matter how complicated it gets." I felt tears building in my eyes. "I love you too. So much. But how do we do this? How do we maintain a relationship when we can't even acknowledge it exists?" "Carefully," he said, with a slight smile. "Very, very carefully. We visit when we can, video chat when we can't. We're cousins, so nobody will think it's weird if we stay in touch. And maybe eventually we figure out how to tell people. When we're ready, When we're both financially independent and emotionally prepared for whatever fallout comes, that could be years, I said. Then we wait years. Jamie, I just found you. I'm not ready to let you go. I kissed him then, not caring if anyone saw. Not caring about anything except the fact that this incredible person loved me and wanted to fight for us. Okay? I whispered against his lips. Let's do this. Let's try. The first few months were hard. Really hard. Tyler and I texted constantly, called when we could, but the distance was brutal. We couldn't visit as often as we wanted. It would look suspicious. We had to be content with stolen moments, secret phone calls late at night. The occasional weekend visit disguised as catching up with family. But we made it work. Tyler threw himself into his new job, and I dove into my sophomore year classes. We both came out to select friends, people we trusted, people who wouldn't connect us to each other. It was liberating and terrifying to slowly build lives where we could be ourselves. I told my boss I'm gay. Tyler told me during one of our video calls. She was completely cool about it. Even asked if I was seeing anyone. What did you say? That it's complicated. He smiled. Which is the truth. Very complicated, I agreed. But worth it. Always worth it. That first year was our crash course in maintaining a secret relationship. We learned to be patient, to treasure the time we had together, to communicate openly about our fears and frustrations. We learned that love, real love, was work, but work that was absolutely worth doing. We also learned to be strategic. Family gatherings became chances to steal moments alone, to exchange loaded glances across the dinner table, to brush hands when passing dishes. To everyone else, we were cousins who'd gotten closer over that summer at Grandma's. To us, we were partners, navigating impossible circumstances. How much longer do we do this? I asked during one visit, lying in his arms in his Chicago apartment. How much longer do we hide? As long as we need to, he said. Jamie, I know it's not ideal, but I'd rather have you in secret than not have you at all. What if someone finds out? What if someone sees us? Then we deal with it, he said firmly. Together, but until then, we build our lives. We become independent. We prepare for the possibility that our family might not accept us. And if they don't, then we'll have each other, he said simply. And honestly, that's enough for me. It took 3 years. 3 years of secret visits, hidden relationships, careful lies. 3 years of building lives where we could eventually be ourselves. I finished my undergraduate degree and got into graduate school. Tyler got promoted, moved into a bigger apartment, built a solid foundation for himself. And finally, we decided we were ready. We chose Grandma Rose first. She deserved to know, not just because we were closest to her, but because that lake house was where everything had started. She was 83 now, still sharp as ever despite her health scares. We visited her together on a Saturday in October, ostensibly to help with some fall maintenance. After dinner, the dishes cleared and the house warm and cozy, Tyler and I looked at each other. This was it, Grandma, I started, my voice shaking. We need to tell you something. She looked between us, and I could swear she already knew. Okay, boys. I'm listening, Jamie and I. Tyler took my hand, right there in front of her. We're together, as in, we're a couple. We have been for 3 years. Grandma was quiet for a long moment. Since that summer you stayed here? Yes, I confirmed. I see. She stood up, and we both tensed, preparing for rejection. Instead, she walked over and hugged us both. It's about time you told me. You're not upset? Tyler asked, shocked, upset. Honey, I've known since that first summer. I'm old, not blind. I saw the way you looked at each other. She pulled back, smiling. I was just waiting for you boys to trust me enough to tell me. I felt tears streaming down my face. You really don't mind? Mind? My grandson's found love. That's worth celebrating, no matter how unconventional it might be. She squeezed our hands. Now, are you going to tell your parents? Or are you keeping this secret forever? We want to tell them, Tyler said. We're just ... scared. Course you are, Grandma said gently. but you can't live in fear forever. And who knows? They might surprise you. 5 years later, they didn't surprise us. Not in the way we hoped anyway. My parents took it badly. Tyler's parents took it worse. There were tears, accusations, slammed doors, and periods of silence that stretched for months. Some family members cut us off completely. Others slowly, reluctantly came around. It was everything we'd feared and more. But Grandma Rose was right about one thing. We had each other today. I'm sitting on the porch of our house, a small place near the city where Tyler works. Close enough to my job at the local college where I teach English. It's nothing fancy, but it's ours. Tyler pulls into the driveway, home from work, and my heart still skips a beat when I see him. 8 years together, and he still makes me feel like a teenager with a crush. "Good day," he asks, kissing me hello without hesitation. We don't hide anymore. This is our home, our life, our truth. "Better now," I say, pulling him down beside me on the swing. We sit together, watching the sunset, his hand in mine. Some family members still won't speak to us. Some never will. But others have slowly reached out, slowly accepted that love doesn't always look the way we expect it to. My phone buzzes. It's my mom. We're doing Sunday dinner this week, slowly rebuilding what was broken. It's not perfect, but it's progress. "Your mom?" Tyler asks. "Yeah," confirming for Sunday. He squeezes my hand. "Think she'll actually come this time?" "Maybe. Hope so. We're building a new normal one day at a time. It's not the family we expected, but it's becoming the family we need. Regret any of it?" Tyler asks the question he's asked a dozen times over the years. "Never," I say, and I mean it. "You, not for a second," he says, kissing me softly. Though I do sometimes wonder what would have happened if I hadn't walked in on you that night. We probably would have wasted even more time pretending, I say. So really, it's the best thing that could have happened, the best awkward moment of my life. He agrees, laughing, as the sun sets and the evening grows cool. We head inside our home, the one we built together, the one that represents everything we fought for. It wasn't easy. It's still not always easy, but it's real, and it's ours. It's built on a foundation of love that's strong enough to weather any storm. Because sometimes, the greatest love stories are the ones that aren't supposed to happen. The ones that break all the rules, defy all the expectations, and survive despite impossible odds. And sometimes, your straight cousin walks in at exactly the right moment and changes everything. The end.